So today we're going to go through 11 players that you need to have in your team, or at least try and get to. There's a few SBCs, a few of the new players, and most definitely some of the old ones as well. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. And that's pretty much down to evolutions being a massive factor as well. When it comes to Courtois then, we've got him in at 76,000 coins. Honestly, with keepers, I don't think it matters too much. I do think Courtois is still a very easy keeper to get along with. I'm a big fan of the fact that he's 6'7". He has got the rush out as well, which is one of my favorite play styles. And I think when it comes to keepers, you can just choose what you want. Like, there is so many choices. I've just gone one that I personally just like. If we go by price and go up, we've obviously got the Yashin at 945, Van der Sar at 500. Martinez, I think, is a great option as well at 340. As a team of the year, it's a pretty solid goalkeeper. You look at him with the rush out and obviously with the footwork. I mean, there's not too much wrong with him, to be fair. He's 6'5", he's got himself all of the stats like most goalkeepers. You can find your own and be pretty happy with it. Now when it comes to left backs, I do think there is a few options that I'd go with, but it all comes back to Theo. Now, when it comes to Theo Hernandez, it's definitely because of the evolutions that he's been able to have in the kind of immediate future. Like, we've now got the 88 coming in at 670, and the Trackstar, it is the Trackstar, is it? Is that the Trackstar? Yeah, Trackstar is still coming in at 1.7, which is incredible to think how long ago that card came out. But when we do look at certain evolutions from him that we could have got many, many times over, we've obviously got the birthday finale, and these are not always the best. There has definitely been some that have been out recently and some that have been a while ago, depending on what playstyle plus you wanted. You could have got tiki-taka, pinged pass, we saw block, first touch, incisive. So many different options you can go with. Attacker's instinct if you really wanted to go that route. But I do think if you've had a Theo Hernandez, more than likely you've probably upgraded him by this point. And when we do look at the other left backs, you think of Sakina, Grimaldo from Team of the Year, and then kind of others that are just way out of a lot of budget. You look at a lot of these left backs, and again, you look at Roberto, you look at a Mike on the other side. Batcher, not a terrible option, but I'd still always go back to a Theo Hernandez. Maybe one other option, I suppose, could be DeMarco. I think if you're not willing to do evolutions or have not done it in the past, DeMarco is probably my second best choice here. Deadball Plus and obviously Jockey, 200,000. It's a pretty solid card, and most of FUT Birthday should or will be featured. Now the right-hand side, Florenzi is obviously going to be one of the better shouts. You've got the likes of Carfu, Thuram, all of them that are incredibly highly priced. Team of the Years in Carvajal. They are very expensive, and I suppose Lucy Bronze as well. But when it comes to a free card, this is a pretty solid one. Now, yes, you could potentially go as a centre mid for him, but I do think he's better off on the right back at the moment. Potentially an evolution that's going to be slightly a bit better. You've got the birthday finale. The birthday finale doesn't do anything apparently, but you've obviously got something like the Dab Legend if you really wanted to get a bit more attacking aspect, if you wanted more of a centre mid. But he is going to get a right back one at some point soon as well, especially being 89. So I think he again goes into a very good category. The stats are all there. He's a 5'5", and he just offers a nice free option. Now going into the centre-backs, the first one for me has got to be Virgil van Dijk. Now, if we was to follow the pattern that I personally did, if we go ahead and remove this, obviously you've got the gold coming in at 30,000, pretty standard across the board. The only two evolutions I've put my Virgil in, because he is just the best option for me is I've gone with Backline Boss to give him that anticipate, which for me is the number one, and then you throw him into the next upgrade in the Der Kaiser, and that gives him into the 92 and a bit more on them stats. For me, I think that puts him back into such a good category again. Anticipate aerial, as we've always loved with Virgil, doesn't cost you any more than what we can already see with a lot of these versions. Yes, you obviously want to go and get the 95 or the 96 if possible, but as a very cheap option, 30,000 coins. If you've done the Backline Boss, fantastic. If not, it's not the end of the world in my opinion. I think you definitely could have gone for that one at the time, but I know there was a few other options that would have been nice as well. You can obviously go and get the Intercept as well if you did want to. It's not the worst playstyle plus. I think Anticipate would be my personal favourite, but beggars can't be choosers in that sort of scenario really. Which then leads us into our second centre-back, and that's Ruben Dias. For the price you're paying for him, obviously getting the Prem links as well, he's another one that's great for a future player at the striking role, if you could kind of guess the nation. He's obviously good for that side of stuff as well. If I'm thinking more links for, as you'd probably have guessed, CR7, he's going to be a fantastic option in there. He's a 5-star weak foot, 210,000, Anticipate bruiser, nice pace upgrade in comparison to the track star, and then obviously to the base version of him. Defending ability was always been top tier for him, composure, a bit of agility balance. I mean, he's a solid centre back, and to be fair, he's not the only one. There is so many options you can go with fullbacks, with midfielders, with wingers, with strikers. There's a lot of options, and this is why, as much as I think this has definitely been the most versatile game that we've got in terms of what players you can truly use, let alone the amount of evolutions that we've got, it's also its hindrance as well, because now I've not really seen the need for many SBCs unless they're the top players, and also then there's not really a need to upgrade. If we was to go for the 89 at some point, I could probably upgrade him to a 92. I could upgrade him to a 91 with a bit more dribbling and passing. So there is so many other avenues you can go with, but I do think this 93 was very packable during FUT Birthday, but is also very obtainable after the market as well. Now, I didn't want to necessarily do just too many high players because I do think in the attacking options, they do go a bit more expensive. And I think that is kind of where I personally put a lot of my emphasis on cards. The defensive aspect, I can get away with a nice evolution Virgil. I can get a packed or bought Ruben Dias for 200. Teo Hernandez, I'd imagine a lot of people have packed him by now. Obviously, I've managed to get multiple left backs from Team of the Year Sakina, who's obviously in there as well. But Teo has always been a nice standing option since probably the first month of the game we've managed to get him. And then obviously the right hand side, I've got lucky with Taram. I've managed to get Carfu. Walker's had an evolution. We've obviously get Florenzi for free. So it kind of frees up a lot of budget to mainly put in the attack. And I think Archie Gray puts in another shout. 4-star, which is always good. Has the possibility to potentially actually get himself in the actual starting team. We've got the Anticipate and a Tiki-Taka, which is nice. Versatility in the roles, but CDM seems to be the spot I would put him in. And I think the stats from the 73 have been upgraded fairly as well. We're seeing a solid amount of dribbling for him. Not necessarily a low composure. Passing's good. Physical and defending's fantastic, and he's very cheap as well. For 200k, putting in a CDM with them playstyle pluses is a very, very nice option, and does have a few solid roles as well. Now for the centre mid option, it just had to be. He is available now. You can actually get to him, but if you're not necessarily cracking out the game left, right and centre, he should be available in the next week or so. I personally think he's the shout for me. He is one of the better centre mids we've seen in a season pass for a while. Again, he gets the link to my Portuguese striker, which is always fantastic. And to be fair, I do need Portuguese links for him as well. Maybe even icons to throw in there also. But a solid card. He's obviously got 5'9" on the height, 5'5" with the incisive pass and long ball pass, but stats across the board are nice. You throw on an anchor, 91, 95, 94. I don't need the shooting as much. The passing's fantastic. The dribbling's excellent. He's an absolute must in my opinion. For a centre mid, he is one of the options I would always go with. Now, obviously when you're looking at the options to go against, we are looking at we keep going up. Florenzi, obviously level 15. You kind of should be there by now. But if we are looking at the options at level 30, it is between himself and Kimpembe. Now, I do like Kimpembe as well. I think he's a fantastic option you can go with. What's the other options? Packs, isn't it? 86 times 5. No. Kimpembe is a great option for a centre-back, but as we've already discussed, you can get a Virgil for next to nothing with an evolution. You get Ruben Diaz already, and they're just 2 out of the many centre-backs we've got. I think Renato Sanchez is the easiest option you can go with in them 2, really. Now, obviously, I did have to put a very expensive player in here, but I do think he's worth it, and I kind of need to explain why. He's 5.2 mil, which is... it might be the highest SBC we've seen. Can't remember what R9 came in that one year, but regardless, he's the highest priced SBC we've seen so far. He's also the first SBC with a triple playstyle plus. We've obviously had 2 evolutions that have managed to have that, but in terms of Hullit's level, this is probably what you'd pay on market for him. And I think if you can grind him out in the 60 days, I don't see why we wouldn't. And like I said, with the emphasis on SBCs, if you do look at the players that we've got, realistically, like, yes, you've got your Marquez's coming in really cheap. And if obviously you have already got a centre-back or a CDM done, do you really need the upgrade for him? The problem, the more than likely, is no. You've obviously got Marquez, you got Sergio Roberto, and if we was to go with the ones that I think could be worth it, a stab in the dark for the road to the finals, I think Upamecano and Ben White are solid options. I think Solskjaer is a great option, but he needed a triple play style plus. We've got Dembele, I think is a fantastic option. Maddison, probably not. You're thinking of bench players. Unless we are going for somebody that is going into the main team, realistically, they don't really need to be used. Suarez, fantastic option. Tevez, not as much. Adeyemi, Yaya Toure. I didn't want to throw in 2 midfielders of massive value because you'd be looking at 7-8 mil in terms of the midfield. If you only play 2, you might not want to spend that much on it if you can even get it at that point anyway, and there is only 2 weeks left for him. But then the rest of them, they're kind of just fodder choices. There's nobody else that really excites. Obviously, Ronaldo is always going to be a God-given for him, but that's about it. And when you go into the icons, yes, you obviously have got the Essians, the Maldinis, another Hullet if you wanted to go for an evolution portion of him instead. But the 94 is going to come in as a number 1 priority. So I think for me, he's always going to be one of them options you need to be trying to grind towards. And if that means putting every avenue of fodder coins into him, I think it would be more beneficial in the long run. And obviously looking at the SBCs, Adeyemi is another option that you'd probably go with. For 484 as a left mid, if you've not done any of the attacking avalanche, if you've not done any of the evolutions that have allowed you, the Team of the Year blueprint was another fantastic one that you could have picked a right wing that can play left as well. For instance, Dembele was a great option there. You probably would be looking at someone like Adeyemi, because when we look at the Neymars, the Vinnies, the Ronaldinhos, the Leaos, they just come in at such an expense. You probably, A, don't have the coins to go and buy them, and maybe don't want to fork out 1, 2, 3 million coins for them, and then to depreciate in value. Whereas Adeyemi, you throw in 480 on fodder. It's a solid option. He's got the quick step, the pace is magnificent, the dribbling's fantastic. You throw in a Deadeye like it does suggest, and you've got yourself a very top-end left wing that could last you at least till team of the season very comfortably. I mean, you've got everything you need there. And I probably shouldn't have gave it away, but Dembele is going to be the right-hand side. 93 rated at 1.2. Like I said, these are, you don't have to do them all. This is just what I personally would say is well worth having a look at the minimum. He is obviously considerably less than CR7 and Hullet, but he's a little bit more than, say, Adeyemi. I've always really liked Dembele. If you've obviously got the Team of the Year blueprint, they might be still within a shot. Like, I think my Yamal isn't necessarily out of the loop, but he's not far off. Even with the triple play star plus, stats, skill moves, rolls are starting to become a slight problem for him and needs that upgrade again. Dembele is a great option. He's already a 5'5". His dribbling animations are fantastic. He's got great pace. His shooting is slowly going up, which is nice. You throw a finisher on him if you really wanted to, or you do go something like a marksman like it does suggest. Get a bit more physicality if you really want. And he's a 95 winger overall. I mean, if I'm putting in anything, if I'm taking out Hullet and maybe doing the evolution instead, I'm definitely doing Dembele instead of that. And like we keep talking about the Team of the Year blueprint, the Strike Force is one to go with. I think this as a striker evolution, I could give you the names of Cruyff, Eusebio, Pele, Mbappe. You throw in a 95 Kane, you throw in a Griezmann in the FUT birthday, a Son in the fantasy. They are all absolutely outrageous strikers, but they also cost millions. As much as this is a 500k evolution, it's 1,000 points. If I was to put any points on this game, it would be to do this. If you've got $500,000 spare, I mean, try not to put the money on. Fantastic. You've managed to get the $500,000. I think this would be worth it. If you've got R9, it's a no-brainer. Suarez as an SBC, Torres as an SBC. Two very, very good options. Great playstyle pluses, great stat upgrades, and even then you throw it further down. You look at a Van Persie as an SBC, Sorloth, Solskjaer as an SBC if you wanted. Oh no, in fact, that's a different Solskjaer. You've got your previous Cruyff, you've got a CR7. There's so many options, but I do think this is definitely one of the striker partners that I personally would go for. And obviously the next one going for him will be this man right here. We are going to go with 93 CR7, 2.4 mil. I mean, again, it's expensive. If we're looking at the SBCs that I've put out, 5.2 for Hullet, 1.22 for Dembele, 500 for Adeyemi, and 2.5 for Ronaldo. So you're looking at around about 9 to 10 million coins worth of fodder. CR7 you might have got done by now because he's been out for a while. Same as Adeyemi, meaning your main focuses would be on Hullet that's got 60 days, around 50 to 55 now, and Dembele that I think had about the same. Dembele's got, because he came out the same time as Hullet, I need to go to players. He managed to get 3 weeks. So you've got a solid amount of time to get him done still. When does he actually go now? He is out on the 18th of April. So we're still looking at a solid 20 plus days for him. If you want to grind them out, I think they will be the most beneficial for your team right now. It's mainly trying to get you through to Team of the Season because we're going to have another week of Dream Chasers. I've not necessarily been the biggest fan of it. We're going to get Immortals for 2 weeks, which again, I don't know what we're going to get really for that. It is just going to be another big promo before. I'd imagine it might have the same emphasis as Galazzo had last year. And then we go into Team of the Season and most of this work gets undone because the moment Team of the Season comes in, triple playstyle pluses, massive upgrades, and it's all Team of the Season focused. So really it's just setting yourself up for the next month. And that's pretty much it then. Team of the Season takes over and almost all of the grinding commences, but in a slightly easier way and a slightly less grinding fashion. You're not absolutely busting an absolute blood vessel to try and get a Hullet done. But I do think Hullet will last you for a considerable amount of time into Team of the Season as well. So let me know down below what you think of these players. Is there anybody that's in your team right now? Any other SBCs you think are more important to do right this second? And make sure you do subscribe for more content. I'll catch you all for the next one. Peace.